me actually just start the recording. So yeah, first of all, Anuj, welcome to this meeting. This what I call as debriefing after your GMAT, and
Okay, thank you.
congratulations on scoring a 770. It's an excellent score.
Yeah, thank you very much.
How does it feel?
Oh, it feels really nice. I wasn't expecting actually a 770 score. Actually, my target was somewhere around 730 to 740.
Okay.
Surely a 770 helps a lot.
I'm sure it does, and I think yes,
Yeah.
having been where you've been, I can tell you
Yes.
it's those 30 to 40 points make a huge difference between
Yeah.
an admission and not an admission, and then a partial scholarship and a full fellowship. So yes,
Yeah. Yeah.
definitely, I think this is something
Yes. Yes.
which one thing that you don't realize, which you probably would realize after you graduate, is that your GMAT score is that
Yeah.
single thing that will stay with you throughout your life. In
Yeah.
addition to an
That
MBA
would.
degree, of course. So,
Yeah.
so I
Yeah.
think that's something which is right. Let me actually move this
Yeah.
back since I'm not using this mic. So,
Okay.
so Anuj, what we do in these things in these debriefs is we kind of figure out. We start from your background to really say, hey, who is
Okay.
it? What is it that you're doing? Why are you doing?
Okay.
Or when did you start thinking about doing an MBA and why?
Okay.
And then
Okay.
we go in towards your preparation
Okay.
and we talk about how you went about preparing. And you've written a debrief, which is a really great debrief. So I think there's some really
Yeah.
good pointers in there as well. So
Yeah.
and throughout this entire process, what I want to kind of understand is what you did and why you did that. So, I mean, in my
Okay.
case, I want to get towards the inside your mind, how your decision making process was, why you took certain steps
Okay.
that you mentioned in
Okay.
your brief that you actually took. The
Okay.
sole intent here is to make sure that we help people do better on the GMAT, because preparing for GMAT for
Yeah.
most people is very difficult, and
Yes.
then people have to make sacrifices, and people see the kind
Yeah.
of sacrifices that others have made. It just makes things
Yes.
a lot easier.
Yes.
So,
Yeah.
so I think that's something that we want to do. So I think let's start with this. So tell us a bit about yourself.
Okay.
Who is Anuj?
Yeah.
What does Anuj do today?
Okay. I'm basically from Indore, and I did my schooling from Indore.
Mm-hmm.
Then I secured a seat in NIT Nagpur.
And again,
I did my mechanical engineering from NIT Nagpur. I passed out in 2010. Then through the campus selections, I joined Indian Oil Corporation. And for the past 5 years, I have been posted at Bhilai location for Indian Oil. And I've been basically looking after operations and logistics. So that is my field in Indian Oil.
Okay.
Then about GMAT, actually, one of my colleagues and my
Let's take
flatmate
this
was.
step back. So you've been working for
Okay.
5 years in Indian
Yeah.
Oil Corporation and the logistics and transportation part.
Yeah.
Now, why an MBA after 5 years?
Because actually, during my final year in college, I had given the CAT. So MBA was in my mind during my college days also. I at that moment actually when I got placed in Indian Oil, I sort of relaxed and didn't go through with my preparations on a good pace. I would have liked to. So I ended up on a 98 percentile on CAT.
Okay.
And by the time, actually, I wasn't expecting a 98 percentile. So by the time the results were out for CAT, only I think IMT Ghaziabad was the one college which had its deadline still open. Applications were open. So I applied to IMT Ghaziabad. I got an admit from IMT Ghaziabad. But then again, I thought, okay, let's give it a try next year for IIMS. But then again, when I came to Indian Oil, it was like our location is really tough here.
Yes.
Yeah, so we have to work 7 days a week. So initially I had to learn a lot of things, right from college to corporate life. So there were many things to learn. So I couldn't concentrate on giving CAT. Then after like 4 years, I think just went by. It was a learning process. I was really enjoying the supply chain and operations. I started liking it, and this process went on for 4 years. Then actually, I had a trip to the US. My brother is in US, so there I kind of realized like there are like people there, they don't stop learning at any age. I had one of the instances where I had a taxi driver. He was around 35 years of age, and he was still trying to do his undergrad studies. So
That's true.
I sort of got an inspiration from there. Then again, my roommate was another inspiration for me. He kept on studying. So gradually, and GMAT is one exam wherein if you start studying, uh, the interest automatically comes in the studies. It is not like I used to take time off from work, and I used to feel fresh after studying for GMAT. It was not like one of those things where books will make you sleep or something. It is kind of interesting stuff, where you don't have to mug up a lot of things. It is all just logic, and so that's how I came to study for GMAT.
Okay, so basically that helps. By the way, that helps a lot. So I kind of looked at your history, and from what I realized, you signed up through GMAT Club with e-GMAT in October of 2014. Is that when you kind of started thinking about the GMAT?
Yeah, that was the first time I started. That was I had a trip in the US in September, and I came back in October, and that was the time I really started thinking about giving the GMAT.
Okay, again, let me actually share something just because people would look at this. So this is basically your debrief over here from 0 to 710 to 770. My journey in achieving the unexpected. So just coming back to this. So in this debrief, what you really mentioned is you started studying. You looked at various places. You researched. You purchased the Manhattan GMAT books. So when you made your purchase and then you started studying, tell me, let's talk about your first attempt. Actually, even before that, are you married, unmarried?
I'm single right now.
You're single right now. No, so girlfriend?
No.
No girlfriend. So you have no such commitments, all right?
No. That was an advantage, actually.
That is a big advantage, yes. And what are and just professionally? So what? So how many days a week do you work, and what are your working hours like?
Actually, officially, we are working 6 days a week for 10 hours a day.
Okay.
But my location is a very, very old one. It was established way back in 1960s. So after the formation of state of Chhattisgarh, we are already very hard pressed to supply the petroleum products here. So we are almost working 7 days a week. Even on national holidays, we are working. So
okay. So as someone who's working 70 hours, let's start with that as context and tell me, how did you prepare during your first attempt?
Yeah, actually, the first attempt, I was just my first aim was to get familiarized with the pattern of the GMAT, and GMAT Club really helped me. I used the forums to know what all formats are there. Then I solved the quant questions, and I realized that quant is not such a big deal coming from the background that I am. So I immediately, being a non-native, I focused on the verbal part. And even in verbal, when I started solving the official guide, I realized that RC and CR, there's not a lot of theory to be done. It's about practice, and it's about applying logic. So I straight away went through the sentence correction guide of Manhattan, and then the grammar rules I wrote down at a place. I again started solving sentence correction from the official guide, and the accuracy improved. The accuracy improved a lot. I gave around 15 to 20 days into my preparations. I gave the first GMAT prep test, and I got a 690. So it was like decent enough. I was really happy with 690. Then I decided to give an actual GMAT as a mock test only. I thought let's try out what happens in the real situation. So then I initially booked my first date on in the first week of February. But that was the time when I forgot to take the passport. Actually, I hadn't read passport is mandatory. I was carrying another government. So that was a time when I had, and my center was 250 kilometers away from my hometown. So I had to come back. Then I was a little bit disappointed, but picked myself up, and around 20-25 days back, in first week of March, I finally gave my first attempt at GMAT.
Mm-hmm.
During the first attempt, I realized that while solving the official guides, there were questions were similar to the ones I faced in GMAT, but then the really tough ones, the differentiators that take you from a 700 to probably a 750 plus, those were comparatively less in number in the official guides, because official guide is a distribution of all the difficulty levels. So the really tough ones that you get on the GMAT when you're scoring good, when you're going at a 700 plus score, those are the ones in which I lagged in the practice.
So just for context, you scored a 710 in your first attempt, right?
Yeah.
Okay, with a Q50 and a V36, right?
Yeah.
Now one other thing. So you said your first attempt was on the 6th of February. But you forgot your passport. Were you the one who also posted on GMAT Club saying, "Hey, I did that and I couldn't"? And there was one guy in February who posted it on GMAT Club saying, "Hey, this is a warning for everyone else. Don't forget your passport." Was that you?
No, actually, no.
It wasn't you. Okay. It wasn't you. Okay. So there was someone else who actually did that.
Yeah, actually, on the side of GMAT, it is actually not very clear. It is not very easy to judge on the first time. That basically they have just written that government issued IDs would be fine, but then there's a small for countries they have mentioned like India, Pakistan.
Yeah, you need to bring your passport in. Yeah. Yes. So I think this is something for everyone. It's very important to make sure if you are in Asia, bring your passports. Probably bring two IDs just to be very sure.
Yeah.
Right. Passport and PAN card.
Yeah. And my roommate who inspired me to give GMAT, he hasn't yet he doesn't have a passport as yet.
Okay.
So I have given 2 attempts, I have done everything, but he's yet to give the GMAT.
I kind of remember this thing because a lot of people who we hire, they're required to take the GMAT. And when we hire them, they usually don't have a passport. So even when they're prepared, they have to wait for like a month and a half to say that the passport come by, and then they're going to go and take the GMAT because they can't take the GMAT. And which I think is a huge thing.
Even I had to wait because my passport was about to expire, so I had applied for renewal. So even I have to schedule my GMAT test for around 15 days.
Okay.
So
first attempt 710. You realize that basically you're somewhat there because you got a Q50, so quant was already there, V36.
Yeah.
So you got your enhanced score report as you say in your debrief, right? So then what did you realize?
Yeah, actually, while taking my first GMAT, I sort of knew that I had screwed the RC part because basically the passages were out of my area of interest. All the 4 passages were. I was looking for more of tech or science passages, but all were related to some were of American history, some were sociology. I could feel that I didn't do well, and my enhanced score report, justified my belief. I had scores of 40 and 39 in CR and SC. And I had somewhere around 31, 32 in RC. So, I knew that, if I get good passages or, if I practice RC some more, my CR and my SC were almost there. Almost 40 plus score was on the cards. And, I had a very plain strategy in RC. I read the passages. I understood the passages thoroughly. If I can understand the passage, I was pretty much confident that I'll answer the questions. Different people have different strategies. This was my strategy from day one.
RC rarely is. It's reading comprehension. What it really means is if you comprehend something, whatever question would be there would be from the passage itself. So there isn't a whole lot to RC.
No, so, actually, some people, they will see the question first, or they'll just skim through the passage, then they'll read, and I never believed in any of those strategies right from the start.
They don't work. I mean, there is a reason why it's called reading comprehension. You skim through it, you're not comprehending. Right?
Yeah, actually.
So that's something, I mean, I have seen lots of crazy strategies. You read the first line, you read the last line, you read the first paragraph, and then you read the last 3 lines. They don't work.
Pick them
One
apart.
thing that people don't realize is, unlike any other test, GMAT is a test where which you can take 5 times. And what it really
Yeah.
means is they have this dedicated set of test takers
Yeah.
or experts who are making questions day in and day out, and they want to make
Yeah.
sure that these tricks don't work.
Don't work. Yeah. Right.
So and they have certain guidelines that they test, and I think GMAT's probably one of the few exams where they tell you exactly in the official guide what they test.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's those 3 pages, but those 3 pages are golden where they tell you what they test, and if you read it again and again and again, you kind of realize.
Yeah.
So Anuj, let's go back. First attempt, you studied for 4 months, 5 months
Yeah.
practically, just because from February you had to get to March.
Yeah.
You were working 70-hour days, 70-hour weeks. I'm
Yeah.
sorry. So
Yeah.
how did you study? When did you study?
Actually, I had my books everywhere. I used to take my books to the office also. So whenever I used to get time in the office, I used to just open up the guides, official guides, the Manhattan guides. Wherever I got a bit of time, I made a practice to study 2 hours on a daily basis. Half an hour in the morning. Whenever I used to get time, I just took time like 15 minutes or some of the time off, and I made a point to study 2 hours a day.
So,
And come what may.
so typically, how would you make sure that you got those 2 hours, given your work schedule?
If I didn't get time in the office, then I would study late night. I'll compromise my sleep on that day. Some days, basically we have a demand and supply chain that is going on. So during some seasons, the office hours are really relaxed, so you can devote 2 hours in the office itself. And we had a very young team in the office, so we can share the responsibilities. On some day I could work overtime, and on some days
So you made people around you understand that, okay, hey, you need this flexibility.
Yes.
And so how did you tell them? What did you tell them?
Basically, they were of my age only. Like my flatmate also, he's also my colleague at the same place.
Mm-hmm.
And there were 5 of us at that place. Youngsters. Mm-hmm. So we had a very good understanding. Like there were days when the whole night our depot would operate. So we would help each other out by doing the duty for 2 hours each. I would sleep from 12 to 4. Then my colleague will do my job. Then I'll get up at 4. There were days when we used to work for 24 hours at a stretch also. But the team that we had at my office really helped, and that was the main point.
So I mean, my question really is, how did you tell them? So it's not what you explain to me is how you got their help, or in how they helped.
Yeah.
But how did you convince them to? Did you just say, hey guys, I'm taking the GMAT, and so you have to help?
Yeah.
Did you make them understand how important GMAT is for you and other things?
Yeah. I definitely on the first day when I started studying, I told them that I am preparing for the GMAT, and I am planning for an MBA next year. So I just told them, actually my path was made easy because my flatmate was actually doing those stuff in front of them 3-4 months back only. So they were already aware of what GMAT is and why he was doing. So I just fit into it.
Okay, so I think that's something that is very important. Whenever you do this, one of the smartest things to do is make sure that people whose lives will be impacted. In your case, it was the professional context, that you bring them on board and say them, hey, I need to do sacrifices. You would need to do some sacrifices, and I think in your case that really helped allow you those 2 hours every day, which was that consistency. Okay.
Yeah.
So I think
actually my background also helped in the first 3 to 4 years of my job. I really dedicated long working hours to the depot. So it was sort of a return back for me that I could relax a bit when I really needed time.
Okay, that's something which is good. So you had that currency with the people around.
Yeah.
You can really say, okay, I've worked so much. Now, can you really take those responsibilities? And it's kind of a payback for what I did over the last 4 years. So that's good. That's always really good. I think it will also help you get really good letter of recommendations going forward.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. So then let's talk about, so you got 710, you looked at RC and you said,
Yeah.
RC I can do as long as I comprehend, probably
Yeah.
need to practice more. Why did you think about, now taking on our SC course? I mean, you already had a 30, right?
Yeah, because actually, in the CR and RC, whenever I was doing a question right, I knew it that, yeah, I'm doing this question right. And whenever I couldn't do a question wrong, I knew that, yeah, I had screwed the RC, like in the GMAT, I knew. But SC was right from the start, I couldn't be 100% sure that, yeah, I'm doing this question right or wrong. I needed some more fundamental, concepts. That is when I looked upon at e-GMAT's SC course, and all the reviews said that e-GMAT SC is the best.
Okay.
So I just tried out the SC course. That's
Okay.
why I went into the SC course.
Okay, and you needed just sentence correction, frankly. I mean, that was the case. Now, did you attend any free webinars prior to buying the SC course, or?
No. I just attended the free trials that are available. I checked out the free trials for the sentence correction course, and I pretty much liked it, and I knew it that, yeah, this was the kind of course that I was looking at. The small modules, the focus on each topic in depth. That was what precisely I was looking for.
Okay, that is good. So you started with the course, and I looked at, you bought the course sometime in June or July, somewhere around June or July. Right?
Yeah, June end, I guess.
June end, yes, that's what I remember. Yes. So I'm actually just looking down on my notes.
Okay.
Yeah, it was somewhere. It's kind of what I looked at it. So so you bought the course end of June, and so how did you go about doing the course so that you kind of knew that that you were improving? So how did you attempt the course?
Basically, I just started with the modules, with the videos. I started doing the videos, and I started realizing that, okay, these were the concepts. There were some concepts which were missing from the Manhattan guides. I started taking down notes. I used to watch the modules, take down the notes so that I could use them as a reference in the later time. And I pretty much completed, I guess, in around 15 days, I completed the SC course. And then I went back to solving the questions from official guide. So that was the time when I realized that, yes, now I am feeling confident, and I could do my SC from the official guide, and my accuracy was really up in the 90s.
Okay.
Which was previously lying around 75 to 80%.
Oh, so I mean, you were someone who had a V39 in your enhanced score report on sentence correction, which is like 86, 87%.
Yeah.
You went through the course, you realized, okay, there are these concepts that I need to learn. And then you did the OG and you set the validation. Now, you said you completed the course in 15 days. You're still studying those 2 hours every day?
Yeah, sort of. Yeah, actually, and there were 1 or 2 Sundays or holidays which I remember I got free.
Okay.
So yeah, that helped.
That helped. Okay. Now, how was the experience reading a book for 4 months and now doing an online course? What is the difference?
Completely different. The audiovisual mode is really easy to remember compared to when you are reading a book. And it was more of a detailed course. Rather, the book used gave the rules, but the usage and where to use, how to use. So the e-GMAT SC course was a bit more in detail. When you study more about something, there's a greater chances of retaining those memories in your head as compared to when you are just reading a book.
Give me an example. Take a concept that you also read from the book and you also studied in the course, and you say, what was the difference while reading the same concept and studying from the course? And how?
For example, the ing modifier. I was very confused about where is the ing modifier, modifying a noun, or whether the clause. After going through the e-GMAT SC, I think e-GMAT SC has 1 or 2 videos and 1 or 2 articles dedicated to ing modifiers. So that really helped. I guess when I gave my second GMAT, these small things are the ones, that really count in the when you are to save time or to eliminate some strong options. These small things come into picture at that moment of time, at the really 700 plus level questions.
So again,
So,
you got a 770, you got a 98 percentile overall on verbals.
Yeah.
I mean, these will be the things that will make the difference.
Yeah.
So okay. So also, did you find that you could go through the course faster because it's audiovisual versus just reading a book?
Yeah, that was there.
Okay.
And it was easy. I could just lie down, and the course is going on, and it was easy as compared to a book. In a book you have to concentrate. You cannot read for long hours, so it was a bit more of a relaxing experience.
On that, that's very interesting when you said so. So you could not read for long hours. What was kind of the span of time that you would devote in a particular study session while going through the course, or which you felt you could devote if you had the luxury of time?
I think 2 hours at a stretch would not be a big issue because the concepts were told in a really interesting. I used to wait for the concept to end and for me to try the post-course quiz to see how much I have improved. So it was GMAT as a whole is a very interesting exam. So I never for any moment I felt bored doing the exam. So studies were not like those old days where we used to run away from studies. It was not like that.
GMAT's a very application-oriented exam. It's like, for me, the closest I can remember is in my 11th standard when I learned mechanics, I would go and apply it on all sorts of problems that I could find in various books because it's just mechanics is something you can really see. Questions in speed and relative velocity you can kind of visualize. Construction of bridges, you can really say, okay, how the stress distribution would be across. And again, I am someone who's an electronics engineer, so it's not that I'm a mechanical engineer. It comes naturally. But again, even when you see that, you can really feel that. And it's interesting to do this. Or when you build electronic switches, this is very, very similar to that. So let's talk about the test day experience. So you got lucky somewhat on the exam as well to be able to score a 770.
Definitely.
What was the luck factor? Do you remember you've written that in
actually, halfway through the verbal part, I was I was, comfortable with the time.
Hold on. We'll get to that. I want to get to that. But I mean, lucky part is in your exam, you said 3 out of the 4 RCs were science.
Yeah.
Right. Which I think if you compare it to the first attempt, it's a big difference. Where you had way more humanities.
Yeah.
Right.
And one more thing was that 3 out of those 4 were short passages. So short passages also really kind of help.
So let's kind of look at the exam, and I don't know how much of it do you remember right now. So in the first, can you tell me the composition of the first 10 questions? How many SCs? The first few, what were they? Then what were they?
As far as I remember, the first 3 questions were SC straight away. And, I was pretty confident about solving those SC questions. Then came in a bit of CR questions. And then I had my first passage. The first passage was a really short one and science-based. So, it was just a breeze through.
So the first passage was around question number 6, 7, or was it question number 8, 9, 10?
7 or 8,
7 or 8, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So by the time you kind of reached the RC, you were already at a decent level. Presumably you did good in SC and CR. I'm assuming that just given your end score.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So you got the first passage as a short passage. Now go on.
Yeah. And then I was pretty confident through like halfway there. At the halfway stage, I looked at the clock. I was on course. That I had a bit of time.
Let's define what's on course. So when you say halfway, is it 20 questions?
Around 20 to 23 questions.
Okay.
I just Yeah, I just checked up. I guess I had around 38 something minutes to go.
Okay, so you had
So
19 questions left, 38 minutes to do.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So I was pretty happy, and majority of the questions I knew that I had did correctly.
Mhm.
But then as I have written in my debrief, I don't know whether it was psychological or whether the questions were really getting tough.
Mhm.
For the last 10 to 15 questions, I just couldn't eliminate the options. Even in CR, I just couldn't eliminate the options in CR, in SC.
Okay, let's kind of look at this and say, so you're at question number 22, you have 38 minutes left,
Yeah,
right? And
yeah,
you said the last 10 to 15, and let's take the middle number, 12. The question
yeah,
seemed difficult. So what happened
yeah.
between question number 22 to 29? Did you take a lot of time, or how were the questions over there?
No, because I think out of 22 to 29, I got one RC passage. So, luckily all the RC passages I got were really easy. So 4 or 5 questions, through RC passage, they were really easy.
Okay, so
But
so
then
you
after
reach
that,
question number 29, you still have a lot of time.
yeah, I
Just to
still have
sum
a
it
lot of
up.
time.
Okay, so
Yeah.
then what happened? Let's now talk about then what happened.
Yeah. Then, suddenly, whether, when you're giving a computer adaptive test, it's in your mind or I don't know whether the questions were really difficult. I just couldn't, in the initial SC questions, 2 or 3 options, just eliminate themselves. I don't have to do anything. I was left with only 2 or 3 options to choose
Mhm.
from. But in the last questions, I just couldn't eliminate. All were really similar. I had to read the options twice or even thrice to
Mhm.
really pick the difference and eliminate them.
Okay.
So, but then that was the moment that I sort of realized that okay, maybe the questions are getting tougher. So maybe I am on the right path. So let's not panic.
Mhm.
Take it one question at a time.
Mhm.
I did it, and you'll be surprised to hear my last 2 questions were just guesses.
Okay.
I didn't have time to solve the last 2 questions, and ending on that note, I really didn't expect a 770. I was looking more for a 730, 720 sort of a score because last 2 questions. In fact, the last 5 questions, I didn't solve them with 100% satisfaction. The last 2 were complete guesses, and the last 3 were okay. I knew I did well, but I was not 100% satisfied.
So let's go back. So question number 29,
Yeah,
30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35,
yeah,
36. You said the
yeah,
questions got difficult. You said, I'm going to focus on one question at a time. Just
yeah,
worry about the
yeah,
question. So how
yeah.
did you solve these 7 or 8 questions where you would focus on one question at a time? What would you do?
The only thing was that they were taking more time.
Yeah.
I had to read, like in CR, I had to apply that question, apply that answer. Think of all the assumptions. Think of, is it really strengthening the question? Think
Mhm.
of some tricks in the passage that was given in the CR, in the premises, in the conclusion. I had just to go through the question twice or thrice.
Mhm.
The answers were there. I was getting the answers, but then it was certainly time
You were
consuming.
still confident, is what you're really saying, but it
Yeah,
took
yeah,
longer to get that level of confidence that you had
yeah, yeah,
before. But
yeah,
what you did was you stuck to your guns and you basically said, I know
yeah,
one way to solve a question. I'm going to do it that way.
yeah,
Even if it takes slightly
definitely.
longer, I want to make sure that I'm 100% certain of the answer.
Yeah, yeah,
And so even in
yeah,
the 7 or 8 questions, you were certain that the answer that you said, according to you,
yeah,
based on what you've learned, is the right answer.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
So then
definitely.
came the last 4 or 5 questions, right?
Yeah,
So in those four
yeah,
or five questions, what would you do? Let's kind of so
yeah. That was the time when really that was a really pressure situation. When I could see that only 5 minutes are left and I'm left with 5 questions.
so that
So
it came to that 5 minutes, 5 questions.
yeah, yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
wow.
It came to that. So and the last 2 questions were only I guess 40 seconds left.
Okay.
So till the last 5 questions also, I stuck to my strategy only.
Mhm.
Uh, Somehow the last 3 questions I think I got them correct.
Mhm.
Uh, you know, uh, and this was the point of time when the sentence correction really the concepts during the sentence correction help. Like for example, you have a due to and because of
Mhm.
the article in e-GMAT SC on due to versus because of. So these are the things when you can certainly eliminate. If, for example, the question has 3 options containing due to and 2 options containing because of, and you know that due to is not applicable here, so you can certainly eliminate those 3 questions. So this was the time, right? I could confidently say that okay, fine. I know the application of concepts. I can eliminate those 1 or 2 options on the basis of what I know. So, at the crunch situation, the concepts came into use.
Okay. That I'm really glad. I think what I'm really glad about is you said even when you had 5 minutes left, you said these 2 questions. Let me focus, apply the process, and then you kind of guessed in the last 3. Probably didn't get all of them right, just because even when you know the concept, you still need time to go through them. But I think one thing which is there, which worked really well in your favor, was that you got a really difficult question when you were able to answer them correctly. And one thing that people don't realize is a super difficult question has 3 to 4 times as many points as a medium difficulty question at times, depending on the extent of difficulty. So even though you got probably fewer questions right, even though if we could look at your accuracy part in the entire exam, you probably would have had identical accuracy to a V38, V39, just because of the level of difficulty. You ended up with a V44, which is, I think, amazing.
Yeah.
So you saw a 770. You said you let out a scream. How loud was that scream?
No. Actually, there were 2 other candidates, sitting, so I had to keep down my scream so that they don't.
But it was audible. You could hear it. Others could hear it as well.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. That's good. So then what did you do? You came back home. Did you give your friends a treat or?
Yeah, actually, it was a very good day for me. The next day, my father was about to retire.
Okay.
So, it was a double bonanza for us. And the celebrations were on from the next day.
Okay. All right. So your dad must be very proud.
Yeah, actually.
Has your brother... Go ahead.
He wasn't sure at a 710, he wasn't sure whether I would be getting a good college and, whether I should leave Indian Oil. He was a bit, he was not sure whether I should go for it. So 770 was definitely a good surprise for him.
Okay. Has your brother taken the GMAT?
No. He's actually working in Infosys for the past 7 years.
Okay. All right. Okay, so it's like, hey, is there a sibling comparison, and how did you fare in that?
No.
Okay.
No.
All right.
Nothing like that.
That's very. I mean, I'm sure your dad's very proud, and this is now he probably is really happy. So you prepared for the GMAT on and off for what, good 7-8 months or so, right?
Yeah.
What has this test taught you overall in terms of how you work and in general how to go from where you started to the 770, which I think is which is 99 percentile. It's a level of excellence which very few people, I think fewer than 2,000 people achieve. So what have you learned? How has Anuj grown as a person during these 8 months?
Yeah, actually, first of all, the amount of confidence that it gives you to be among among the 99 percentile. Very few people in the world, as you said, less than 2,000 people. So it naturally gives you a lot of confidence that yes, you are in that league. You can do stuff. You can do big things. And one more thing that I would like to say is that the critical reasoning was really my favorite. It sort of changes your perspective of looking at things. You are given a certain set of data. We are used to jumping onto conclusions. We just don't take the assumptions into picture. And so now whenever I read an article in a newspaper or whenever I read certain stats now, I just my critical reasoning mind gets to work now in every short passage that I read. So it's a big bonus. I didn't used to think it before giving the GMAT. I didn't used to think in those terms. Now my reasoning has sort of improved. That is what I think.
I think that's very true. I mean, I completely understand what you're saying. The same happened with me. Even today, when I look at this, I'm able to poke holes in arguments and I'm able to really say, even, I mean, there's no argument that is rock solid, that is ironclad. But
yeah,
but you can really differentiate between a good argument and an argument that has a logical set of facts that are supporting the conclusion versus an argument that really just looks at facts from one place or the other and arrives at a conclusion.
yeah.
So I think that's something which is there. Now I want to ask one additional question. I'm going to share my screen again. In the end, in your debrief, you basically say eat GMAT, drink GMAT, sleep GMAT. I feel that GMAT needs a small but intense prep. A 2-month prep is enough, but it should be fully focused. You prepared for GMAT for a good 8 months or so.
No, actually, from the time I gave my first GMAT, that was March. March up till May and first week of June, I was really deciding whether I should retake the GMAT or not. So that period of time, I spent researching for B schools, because initially
so good 5 months. Let's kind of
yeah.
So I mean, but you're now recommending people to do this in 2 months. So tell me one thing. Given what Anuj knows now, if Anuj were to take the time back to October again, how would you do things differently that you're done with it in 2 months? I mean, you're recommending people to do that. I mean, why do you think it can be done in 2 months? Now, I don't disagree, but I want to kind of get your take on it. How can you compress this 5-month prep that you have? And you started at a 660, 670, right from the get-go, right? So you had this 100-point jump, and so how would you have done things differently so that you get done in 2 months?
Actually, I sort of duplicated things by basically right from day one. I was focused on sentence correction. The initial month I spent researching on what the GMAT pattern is like. So if you have a friend or a colleague who is already giving the GMAT, that would help. And then I duplicated, because actually I studied twice for the same same things. I studied twice because after giving us my first take, I had taken a 3-month break, deciding whether to retake or not. So I had to start from scratch again. I had to do basics again. I had to study sort of another preparation.
So don't take a break is what you're really saying. Just study continuously.
Yeah, just study.
Otherwise you'll have to reset your preparation, and that is not great.
And I feel that people focus too much on the pattern of the test, doing the first 10 questions right, what will happen last 10 questions right. I feel that you should do your best and keep the rest.
Focus on learning, essentially.
Focus on the things that you can improve. I have a friend, he always he used to ask me, okay, what if I do first 10 questions right? And what if I do the middle 10 questions right? I used to always advise him that leave all this to the GMAT council. Basically, they'll do the job. Your job is to do attempt all the questions and attempt them correctly. That's as simple as it is.
Okay. Now one other thing, and because you're in this special position, CAT versus GMAT. You've taken the CAT, you scored 98 percentile. You've taken the GMAT, you scored better than 99 percentile. Okay, 760 is 99, so somewhat better. How are the two exams different? And what is it that they test?
Actually, it's the first most important thing is that you can take the GMAT whenever you want. That is the biggest advantage of GMAT. You have a lean phase in your workplace. You get 2 months. You get in a proper solid.
No, I understand that the flexibility that GMAT gives. Right. I also understand that you need to have a passport to be able to appear in the exam. Right. But actually, just from the context of two tests. Right.
Okay.
I mean, so how are they different?
Basically, when I gave the CAT, it was the first time that CAT was going online, and I always felt that CAT is more testing more of your vocabulary, which the GMAT actually doesn't really test your vocabulary that much. So we used to have that flashcards, mugging up all the words, their meanings. I guess that doesn't help much, and the best part of GMAT is that you don't need, basically everything is logic. You don't need a solid preparation where you don't need to remember things. There are small concepts that you can remember. That's it. So GMAT is much more interesting. CAT is much more, tiresome and much more focused on theory rather than practical logical thinking. And the quant is also, it's an advantage for I guess engineers have an advantage that the quant is really on the easier side. So quant is one section which we can afford to ignore or like prepare much
I
less.
kind of want to correct that over this. I think quant is
Yeah.
is on the easier side for you because you're very logical,
Yeah.
right? At the
Yeah.
same time, if someone's very calculation based, the person would find quants not very easy for that particular person.
Yeah.
I can tell you, as I said, we hire people, we get people to take the GMAT, right?
Yeah.
We've
Yeah.
had folks who have had 99.9 percentile on the CAT, not 98,
Okay.
but 99.9 overall
Okay.
on CAT, and
Okay.
haven't been able to score 51 on the GMAT.
Okay.
So again, just because one is super calculation intensive, the other one's super logic intensive.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
they've done really well on verbal, by the way, but
Okay.
not as well
Yeah.
on quant. So
Yeah.
these are the same people who've done exceedingly well on quant. Now everyone gets to a 49. If you have a 99 percentile on CAT, you get to a 49. But getting from that
Yeah.
50 to 51 are two jumps that you have to focus on preparing. And
Yeah.
so I think, Anuj, this is something which is really, really good. Thank you very much for this. And what kind of makes me happy about your end score is that you're not someone you're someone who's, I would say, decently average, and when it comes to just your command over English, you still make the common set of mistakes that we all make on GMAT English. I mean, a classic case is when you really say there are very less questions in OG which are truly 700 level. I mean, question is a countable thing. You should say there are very few questions, right?
Yeah.
So
Actually.
the true GMAT. So you still make those mistakes, yet you were able to score a 98 percentile on verbal. An average guy can score a 98 percentile if you are focused and if you're methodical. Right?
Definitely.
You need to figure out what you need to work on and work on it, and you focus on solving questions rather than worrying about the first 10, the last 10, worrying about timing, and really saying, "Hey, I want to build up this foolproof method to solve questions," which I think is really, really is really helpful. I mean, that's kind of a learning that everyone should have. So, also, I want to thank you very much for mentioning us in your debrief, and I think that's something that it does help. There's one last thing that I'd request you, which is to really say, you've given your review of the e-GMAT course over here. Thank you for that. If you could also add your score report to that, because that way the review is verified, then that, I think, I mean, what we're trying to do is make sure that all our reviews are verified. People can see that there are real people behind it.
Okay.
So yeah, do you have any questions for me that I can answer?
No, actually, I was just while I was preparing, I was looking for the solutions to the official guide questions. Is there some copyright issues, or can you list the questions in the order and you can give the solutions the e-GMAT way, the 3-step solving procedure?
So we cannot list the questions, the exact text of the questions. That's a copyright issue. And again, so this has been a very discussed matter internally within e-GMAT. So one of the things really is to really say, hey, if you want to give the question with the solution, you buy an official guide for everyone, and then you charge the person, and then given the segment that we service, what really happens is when you say, hey, I need $20 because I'm buying an official guide for you to save myself from any legal suit, then people would say, I don't want, because I already have the official guide. And then it just becomes a logistical nightmare. So, I mean, if you look at it, the solutions that we provide are probably way more comprehensive than the solutions that anyone else provides. And given those limitations, that's kind of the best that we can do. One of the other options.
While solving, when I completed my SC course, then I went back to the OG. There were around 140 odd questions, and there were around 10 odd questions that I got wrong. So I really wanted to see where I went wrong in the e-GMAT way. So I wanted the solution to those, like
10%
how
only.
yeah, how e-GMAT would think and where actually I went wrong in the 3-step process. So ultimately, I got the solutions to those questions on the net, but then they were not in
Okay.
the.
So no. So I think so that's a different problem to solve. Just to
Okay.
say. So all the solutions to all the questions are there. It's just that they're distributed with the corresponding application files.
With the yeah.
Right? So one of the things that we will be doing very soon as we get to the next iteration of the blog, all of them would be searchable in the blog. So I think that's the problem that you want to solve.
Yes.
And that is a solvable problem.
Okay.
The discussion that we've been having internally is, I don't know if you've ever used this tool that we have called Scholarinium. Have you used it?
Yeah, I just no, I didn't use it. I read about it, but then I didn't get the time to use it.
The Scholarinium is this fantastic quizzing interface where what it does is so you got those enhanced score reports with you from your first attempt, right? You said a V31 in RC, V39, a 39 in SC, and a 14 in CR. Now, how do you make sure when you're preparing for RC, how do you make sure that you've gone from a 31 to a 36 to a 40 in RC? So what we have in that tool is this concept of ability quizzes where you take an RC ability quiz, we pre-select the kind of questions, the kind of passages, and we give you basically your RC ability. And in Scholarinium, you can take 10 such quizzes. So you can study, come back and track your improvement. Say, hey, a week back, I was at a V32, or I was at a percentile. Now I'm at a 75 percentile. So you can definitely see the improvement. And then you also kind of the system automatically tracks what kind of questions are you getting right versus wrong, and so on and so on. And again, it comes with super comprehensive solutions as well. So, so the debate that we've been having is, hey, this is such a interesting system. People love it. Why not have official questions and solutions in that system? Because it's a lot more easy. People don't even have to refer to a book. But then the copyright issue just has been a stumbling block. Okay. Anything else that I can answer?
No, that was this was the one point which I thought I would be discussing.
Okay. Okay, perfect. Thank you very much, Anuj, and I wish you good luck for your applications. I hope you do get into Wharton and Kellogg.
Thank you. I really hope to get in.
And keep me posted.
Yeah, sure.
And if you're not connected to me on LinkedIn, do send me an invite.
Okay, I'll do.
All right. Thank you very much, Anuj.
Okay.
Bye-bye. Have a good night.
My pleasure. Bye-bye.